it's beautiful, right? You know, there's little inlets and it's nice, but then when the water gets up there, where does it go? It has to spread out onto the streets, onto roadways, and onto houses, unfortunately. Even inland areas. Now, this is where we've actually had the biggest threat for tornadoes throughout the day, some of these outer rain bands. Not seeing any of that right now, but places like Avon Park and Sebring, just because you're way away from the coastline, you know you still are impacted by these tropical systems. Same thing for DeWitt, southeastern portion of Hillsborough County, Lakewood Ranch. There's the Sunshine Skyway Bridge about to get walloped by another line of these downpours pushing on shore. And along with the wind, the rain is also the wind. Now, these are the sustained winds. I think that we have noticed over the last hour or so, those sustained winds have come down. Fewer of us are certainly in this tropical storm force. It's still gusty, don't get me wrong. It's 15-mile-per-hour winds in Tampa, 22 in St. Pete, and 20 in Brooksville. So when you get one of those squall lines, when you get one of those rain bands moving through, like in Brooksville, that's when those wind gusts go up. So the sustained winds may be coming down, but the gusts are staying high. 36 miles per hour in Brooksville.
You've been watching coverage from our NBC affiliates in Florida, most recently there, WFLA in Tampa. We're going to continue our coverage of Hurricane Idalia with NBC News correspondent Juan Venegas, who is in Gainesville, Florida, which is farther inland from where the storm made landfall, but we know the storm is now moving farther inland. Juan, what are you seeing right now? Set the scene for us.
75 miles east of where the storm made landfall.
And it looks like we're even having some technical issues, even though it's not as rainy or windy or stormy. They're up. I think we have Guad back. Guad, let's check back in with you one more time.
Oh, and of course, he's freezing given the weather conditions in that area and our ability to connect with him live. Let's now, though, go to Tampa. We'll get back to Gainesville and Guad if we can, but we're going to find NBC News correspondent Marissa Parra in Tampa, where she's been seeing cars stranded, people waist deep in water, as it looks like she is right now, from what I can tell under that QR code, about knee deep maybe. Marissa, what are you seeing there right now?
I would say just above ankle deep. We're playing it safe because it is something you want to be careful with. I mean, honestly, especially the further out you go, you really want to be careful. Luckily, I'm right next to the step here, so we are playing it safe. We want to make sure we're pointing that out. And we're seeing the technical issues as well. I mean, it's tough reporting out here when you've got constant rain and wind interfering. So props to the crews that are making it all happen. So what we're seeing here, I'll point out something that I haven't talked about in the last 20 minutes since I was last on with you guys. Tampa General Hospital, we were out there this morning. And I know we've been talking about that at length, but what I didn't tell you is that we actually had to leave there ourselves, that little island that it's on, because we saw the water levels rising and we ourselves didn't want to get trapped or stranded out there. So Tampa General Hospital is on an island. It's called Davis Island. You can only get to it by a bridge. You know, there's not just one bridge, there's several bridges. But the point is, you know, they themselves have had to protect themselves from the storm surge. We've talked about the storm surge. The storm surge is the #1 threat to the Tampa Bay area at the moment. And that includes not just where we are. I'm going to step up over here as I'm talking about. We're talking about the peninsula as well. St. Petersburg, Clearwater, that's the peninsula that's over to the west of us. We already know there have had to be several rescues. There was one, St. Pete Fire Department had to do a rescue for mobile home park residents. And then there was a rescue that happened right here. This white car that's stranded in the middle of nowhere. Somebody got very confident thinking that they could drive through it, and then they were not able to. But that's why it's called Zone A. It's mandatory evacuation. Now, that doesn't mean everybody has evacuated. As you can see, we've seen people walking around, as you've mentioned, in waist deep water, actually. We've seen people try to drive through this. In fact, when we were over in the island, we saw people having to back up and turn around and try to find their way out. There was really only one way out of that island, and that's how we got off. So in terms of the main concerns here, this water we've watched creep up slowly, little by little. We're expecting it to hit a peak sometime in the afternoon area around 2 o'clock. That's going to, of course, largely depend on the outer bands as they make their way here. And then finally, guys, it's not just the storm surge. It's also the tornado risk. Roughly half of the state is under tornado risk. And if you look at the map, it's pretty much all of the west coast of Florida.
And it's going to be that way for a few hours, it looks like still.
At least until the afternoon.
All right, Marissa, thank you so much. Let's go back to NBC News national correspondent Gabe Good.
Hey, y'all, gravity. Any day above ground, live it. I just wanted y'all to hear that before I came in. Yeah, there's Hurricane Idalia has finally hit Florida. So yeah.
7,000 people. That is 20 miles inland. So we are hunkered down here at this hotel. There are some, my crew is underneath the covering here.
Man, that's crazy.
We lost power. Some local residents have sheltered here when they evacuated their own homes, and there's also some other members of the media here as well. This is the power of Hurricane Idalia. We've seen it intensify over the last several hours. Unclear exactly how much property damage there is, but these winds have really started to pick up. We thought for a minute they might be dying down, and then they pick back up again. Things started to get a little lighter around here. Unclear if that may be because we're near the eye wall or not. I'll leave that up to the meteorologist because our cell phone service has actually started to deteriorate as well. And I'm just pausing here to just make sure that, I'll tell you what, I'm going to move in a little bit because I'm starting to hear something above me, and I don't know if a part of the roof might be getting ready to come off. So I'm going to walk a little closer to the camera here. And I'm now covered. Someone here is apparently moving their car in the parking lot. Oh, here we go.
Yes,
okay. So I'm going to walk closer to the camera here. I'm about to get knocked over.
Yeah, Gabe, we want you to stay as safe as possible
really
here.
Powerful winds, guys. No, we're good. We are in, just so you know, I'm covered right now. My crew is standing right next to a concrete wall away from the direct path of the winds. We're out here trying to show you what these conditions are. And again, this is extremely powerful winds that are ripping through Perry right now. We're 20 miles inland, and if this storm made landfall at Keaton Beach, which is about 20 miles from us, you can only imagine just the powerful wind gusts that must have torn through that community. And they're also having to deal with storm surge, which could be catastrophic. Here, we're not dealing with storm surge because we're inland, but again, it's these winds when we start to assess the damage later today. We already saw a billboard right next to this hotel, as we were talking to you earlier, just be ripped apart and collapsed. And now, my goodness, in the new condition. And I'll say to you, I just wanted to show you what things are looking like here in the Big Bend region. One of the most powerful hurricanes ever to hit this part of Florida.
Absolutely. Gabe, if you don't mind just quickly explaining to our viewers, especially as they're seeing how powerful it is, how you are staying safe. You were mentioning earlier making sure you're certain distances away from power lines, things like that. And I do believe right now, as you said, you're near a concrete wall, somewhat under cover, although, of course, it's not providing much. But just tell us exactly what it's like, exactly where you're standing.
Okay.
Look at this one over in the corner.
But what I'm seeing to my left here, I'm going to have Paul show here to my left and your screen right. I don't know how to translate on camera, but from my vantage point, these are some of the strongest winds we've seen. To answer your question, my journalist partner, Paul Reed, and audio tech, try to pick locations that have the security.
All right, so we still have Gabe's picture. We are having some audio issues right now. As someone who's covered a hurricane before, I can tell you one of the biggest challenges is trying to keep that microphone wrapped in plastic because audio equipment does not do well in wet weather. So sometimes you can have a picture, but have some troubles with the audio. We're going to see.
And you can see our friend
Gabe,
Paul wiping the camera off as well.
Exactly. So we're going to see if we can check back with Gabe in just a moment. Right now, we want to head out to our national correspondent, Jay Gray, who is in Gainesville, Florida. A much calmer scene there. Jay, what are you seeing right now? What is that area preparing for?
Yeah, Joe, Savannah, a very different scene right now, though the wind's starting to pick up again here than we hear with Gabe there in Perry. And like him, we're a bit inland, the University of Florida here, obviously, 50,000 students, a large faculty, that campus locked down, and they're paying attention. What we've seen throughout the morning and at times when we've talked is these waves continue to move through. Strong wind, heavy rain, and then it'll break as one of the bands moves through and the next one approaches. Well, as this storm continues to move inland, we'll see a more of a sustained attack here. We're on the right or dirty side of this storm, and so we'll get some strong winds and we'll get some rain that will continue without the breaks that we've seen. What does that mean for this area? Flooding in low-lying spots, and we're starting to see some of the water already accumulate. And then we've got a lot of trees in this part of Florida. We think of Florida and we think of the beaches and all of that. A lot of trees here. The concern is that they will be either uprooted
Florida
because it's so wet and the wind is so strong, or just snapped. And of course, the power lines are snapping as well. And so that's something that they're very cognizant of here and very concerned about. I don't know if you can see it behind me, but there's been some traffic here in the last few minutes. And I think that's a huge error in judgment by people here, because it is a bit calm right now. But the worst of this storm is still to come. It's got to push inland and really start to wrap around this area. And so hopefully these folks will take the advice that they've been given over the last few days and get inside and ride this thing out, because we know that we're going to see a lot more from Idalia than we've seen to this point.
Absolutely. What you're seeing, by the way, right now on the right of your screen is Perry, Florida.
Oh, great. It kicked me out. Ain't that something?
Perhaps be a category 2, or if not a 1, as it moves into Georgia later in the day and continues to push up and into the Carolinas. So that'll tell you a little bit
yeah,
about
no, this one I want
strength of
regular.
this
I don't want
storm.
y'all to
And as
miss
Gabe
nothing.
mentioned,
In case you
not
live in
something
Florida,
they're used
I
to
need to
in
speed
this
this up.
part of the
So
state. Sure,
yeah,
a bit to the south, they've
can't really
experienced
do it
that.
on their
Ian
player.
last year
Their player's
was just
weird.
a devastating storm
But yeah,
to the
we do
south.
that from time to time here.
But in this area of Florida, this
Sorry, I'm
type
just
of
setting up
storm
the
is
next
just
live
something
stream
they
that I'm
don't
going to
deal
do.
with, and especially there along the coastline where they're seeing that wall of water move in, where the Hurricane Center has said they believe the strike point just south of Perry may end up looking more like a tornado than a hurricane because of the devastation there. And again, it's that power that is in part on the way to this area. And so while we always knew that the storm would make landfall and it would be a bit before we saw the strength of Idalia, we know that it is now on the way. And so not a time to let down your guard, not here or anywhere else that may be not even in the cone, but near where this storm is moving.
All right, Jay Gray in Gainesville. Jay, thank you so much.
Stay safe as it continues to get worse there. All right, we will, of course, continue covering Hurricane Idalia as it ravages Florida's Gulf Coast this morning.
We're going to be back in a couple minutes, but right now we're going to listen into live coverage from our NBC affiliate WFLA in Tampa.
Idalia coming up here on News Channel 8 today. You can also find all the updates on WFLA.
Here it goes.
I don't care about that. Yeah. I ain't gonna be on here too much longer, family, because again, I'm setting up my other live stream because I really want to talk about what I'm about to talk about. Sound. Look at them trees.
That is why we're not standing outside. That is the reason why. I mean, you can wear you can take whatever precautions you possibly have, but if you're out there and one of those things lands on you, I mean, you are crushed like a bug. Very dangerous times. If you can, this is why we tell you to shelter in place, be in a safe location. We haven't even dealt with the full eye of this. We still have a long way to go. As we often say, this is not a sprint. This is a marathon that we're dealing with. All right, so off in the distance, you'll see the edge of a pasture that extends some 10 acres off to our south. Here we go again.
Yeah, that's crazy. It keeps kicking me out. Okay, whatever. It's not working. So I just wanted y'all to see what was going on in Florida. They said that this hurricane made landfall about an hour ago. Last I checked. So, you know, they said they're in for it for a day. So, if you got family down there in Florida, you can contact them, make sure they're straight. I mean, I got people down there, so I'm gonna try in a little while to see if I can get through because at least they're in Orlando. So I don't think Orlando got hit yet. They probably just got a lot of rain. So yeah. But yeah, just stick by because I'll have another live in about 5 minutes. I'm just setting it up right now because this thing I got to talk about. I know y'all really not gonna care because it has to do with the Caribbean, but I think it's a good lesson. I think it'll be a good lesson. So yeah, y'all take care, stay safe, and again, I'll see you in about 5 minutes.